Welcome all you Minties, this is the Uncanny Omar.
And Astonishing Melanie.
And this is Near Mint Condition, the home of collected editions. Today we're going to be doing a review, both non-spoiler and spoiler review of Berserk, Volume 41. So, join us.
First of all, thank you so much to the folks at Dark Horse for sending us this review copy. It comes out on the book market November 15th. However, on the direct market, it comes out this week, the week of November 7th.
Yes, so this particular book means a lot to me and my channel.
We fought over who would get to read it first, and then I realized it really meant a lot to him, like genuinely, that he read it first. So he read it first.
So just a little bit of background in case you're new to the channel. I've been a fan of Berserk since 1998. Saw the anime, reviewed the manga for a magazine, then a website.
And you had nobody to talk to about it.
There wasn't a Berserk crowd like there is now, and then I was the very first person to review the deluxe edition.
I wasn't reading it.
No, you weren't at the time.
And you were like, oh, you don't want to see this. I'm sorry I interrupted, but you were the first to review it.
Yeah, Dark Horse sent me an advanced copy of the deluxe edition, which meant the world to me, and so many of you all, so many of my viewers were immediately hooked. And
those deluxe editions are, they spoil you. Because I was like, back to Tonkabon, like, size. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I want the big hardcover, like, edition where the art is so much easier to see. But anyway.
Well, yeah, because I'm getting older, too. I'm in my 40s now.
We should have had our reading glasses.
I had my readers on, my progressives on, reading this, because there's tiny little font in there whenever Puck is talking. I have a big history with Berserk, and I got so many of my viewers have emailed me and messaged me, letting me know, what Berserk means to them. Thank you for introducing them to the world of Berserk. And I think that thanks belongs to Kentaro Miura, because my gosh, this world that he built, this wonderful, amazing.
He worked on it for 30 years.
Yeah, and it all comes to an end here, if you will. We lost him last year. He passed away at a young age, and even though the story is going to continue and hasn't been released in Tonkabon yet in Japan, even though the story is going to continue, this is his final work. This is his final. Everything is in here. He didn't get to finish the last couple of inks towards the last chapter, but this is the finale.
I didn't notice, and also I was so wrapped up in the story. So this video will be no spoilers at first, and then we'll have spoilers because oh my gosh!
Yeah, we need to talk.
Oh my gosh!
And I even have this weird thing about me where. People last year like, Omar, have you read Chapter? It's already been translated. There's a fan translation. No, because to me, Berserk, it was so important that it deserves to be read in physical format. And even when Dark Horse, a couple of weeks ago, were like, hey, here's the digital file, I couldn't. I was like, I'll wait for the physical copy. So yeah, let's talk about the volume. So this is volume 41 if you're waiting for the deluxe edition. I assume this will be collected in deluxe volume number 14, right? Because 13 takes you to 39, and just by 41, that would be volume 14.
All right, there you go.
I'm not sure what else will be collected in that volume. But the cover, first of all, the cover is a little bit interesting because it's very non-traditional Miura. Like, the colors that they're using reminds me of CG colors. I don't know why I was thinking, the 90s image colors. Not that it's a bad thing, but
that's what
feels a lot different than what I'm used to from Miura. It's missing that raw energy. It's not a bad cover because it's a very important cover whenever you're reading the book. But I just thought it was different than the rest of the volumes. And I wonder if I don't know if he got a chance to see the final product before he passed away or not. Or if this is just what Young Animal decided to release, whenever it went over into a Tonkabon. So that's the very first thing I noticed. And then we talk about the posters. There's always a double-sided poster here. And my goodness, the first
Let us
one...
know in the comments if you tear your poster out. Omar?
Or do you buy two copies of it to tear your poster out?
I said we should buy a copy so that we could tear out the last page. Well, not the last page of the story. Like, you'll know if you read the last page.
So it's weird to see that these will be the final two-sided posters, I assume, of characters, and one of them is Morta, a newer character that was introduced in, I believe, the previous volume. And then, of course, we have Danan and the Skull Knight in the other one. If you don't know who Danan is, well, you watch the spoiler part. So, yeah, that's the two-sided posters we get in this. No Guts, no Griffith. It's those, which we'll be looking at here whenever we do look at the book a little bit closer. All right, the non-spoilery part of the video, and if you want to jump to the spoilery part, check out the description of the video. That will have the timestamps on where we start talking about the book in spoilery parts.
And this is the 4th time that we've started this section.
Yeah, because it's hard to talk about this book without going into spoilers.
All right, so we're going to say, we're not going to name certain characters, just in case. Like, what if you're just reading the Golden Age arc? Like, Omar cares so much about not spoiling this, and apparently I'm cold-hearted. Anyway, all right, so there's the first chapter. There is a character. It's really interesting to see how this character is conducting this big planning meeting of how to set up an empire, because it's kind of the opposite way that it's always been done. And let's say, like, let's focus on education, right? And the children, and bringing up, using refugees to help in, well, to be soldiers, though. Anyway.
But it is a very smart way of looking at things, where everybody's like, we don't have a funding, we don't have the money for a school.
Like orphans, yeah.
The
like,
counter
why would we spend money on it?
The kind of argument is like, well, why not? We're educating these people. They're going to be
our trades,
build bridges. Yeah, they're going to be building our bridges. They're going to be our nurses whenever we go to war. They're going to be our army. So that's when everybody else starts seeing things differently. And I appreciated that because, yes, it is very dialogue heavy, which I enjoyed reading. Before we get to the part that everybody's been waiting for since the cliffhanger of volume number 40.
Yep.
So then we move on to Guts and Gang. And Guts and Gang.
The next chapter. Guts and Gang, G&G.
Yeah, well, I can't call them by their real name. But they have finally arrived at their destination. They have the journey they've been on all these years for a lot of us that have been reading these for a long time as they were coming out. The payoff was finally there in the final volume. And in this volume, it's how they're dealing with the ramifications of what happened.
Ooh, ramifications.
So I think it was, I mean, we both cried at the end of the last volume.
I really enjoyed how the chapters in this, they show happy things for people. And things are, each character in the gang gets their own, like, well, almost each character, anyway, gets their own, like, focus and how they've grown, and that's really satisfying. So I was really happy with that.
It is, because whenever you lose somebody like the creator of this world, there's always this fear of, like, it's just gonna end. And it's gonna end with something ridiculous. Guts is gonna be brushing his teeth after a big fight, and that's where Miura left it.
It was all a dream. What? No.
So I was happy with the ending. I was happy with the ending of the final volume, volume 40. I'm like, that's how it should end. There's happy, there's resolution, and still, like, what's gonna happen next? Which, in this volume, without going into spoilers, I felt the exact same way. There's resolution, there's happiness, there's reunion, there's friendship, there's tears, and then there's the, I'm reading Berserk.
And there's another cliffhanger. So we read individually. It's like, it's going to be too hard to read together. We read individually up until the very last chapter, and then we read that together.
Yeah.
And we yelled at Alicia to pause Simpsons because it was too distracting.
Our daughter was watching The Simpsons. So, yeah. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to take a look at some of the artwork and the build of the book and the posters and the stuff that you can look at without spoilers, and come back for the spoilery section. So this is the part of the video where we talk about the build of the book. And here's the back, the design, volume 41. One thing you're probably going to note is how slim it is compared to the other volumes. This is just a sticker, the parental advisory, like all the other volumes, and it comes wrapped in plastic. Let's take a look at these beautiful two-sided posters we talked about of these characters right here. And then
Morda.
This brand new character that showed up in the previous volume.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Now, let me see if I can flip through here a little bit without spoiling. So here are your chapters. This kind of gives you a quick recap as to what's happened previously. Your key players right here, of course, in the world of Berserk. Printed in the same paper stock they've been using since Volume 1. And this is the council we were talking about, this Senate meeting, talking about budget. All right, we're just showcasing some of the art. This is a lot harder than we thought because, well, just about every page has a spoiler for people that haven't read the books leading up to this. But here we have Shirky with a bunch of witches on Elf Island, right here. Including Morda right there, the newer character, who's also a witch, but a little bit different than Shirky, would you say?
Yeah. They're, foils. Character foils.
Here they are flying around, going on a secret mission.
Yeah, it's so sweet because Shirky doesn't know how to fly, and so she wanted to learn.
Even though
after she had already impressed them with some really great magic, but she didn't know how to fly.
Right, she's a badass little witch that can do all kinds of things, and flying is just not.
She never had to.
Right? Why would you? There's a nice conversation here about magic and using it, while you're training in a school and then using it in the real world. So here we have Morda's mistress, kind of like Flora was Shirky's mistress. Here we have the lady that taught Morda magic, pretty much. And she's a lot different than Flora. Alright, these next couple of pages I wanted to show, even though I have to censor a little part of each page. But I wanted to show the mastery of Miura's spread pages. They're just beautifully done with the amount of detail that we've grown accustomed to. What is all this madness? Well, only one way to find out.
To alleviate the tension for comedic relief, we have Isidro, who's going to show off, and we got Puck, who, where is he? Morphs into
Jar Jar Binks.
Pop culture references quite often, especially as the series goes on, so he can do little quotes and stuff. And like Elmar was mentioning earlier, it's hard sometimes to read because it's so tiny, the little jokes he puts in. Get your progressive lenses out.
Get your progressive lenses out is all I'm going to say. The translations to the sound effects are done within the panels, like they have been since Volume 1. But yes, Melanie's right. This shows you, what Miura does. He does a lot of horrible, wonderful, detailed art that just, it's the stuff that fuels nightmares. And then he does comedic stuff like this, like drawing Isidro as a little monkey jumping from tree to tree. Just ridiculousness like that. Which I guess in a horrible world like this, it balances things out.
So I'd like to buy another copy just to take this page out. But there's a little bit of artwork right here. Regardless to all fans, that would be cool to frame or laminate.
Laminate, yeah. It's just a beautiful picture.
Make a construction paper frame.
Of guts right there. That's who this is about. Oh, it's beautiful. I believe this one's only 148 pages, retailing for $14.99. And this one also translated by Dwayne Johnson, who has been translating them since the very beginning. I'm sorry, 168 pages.
And just one more thing, that everybody that's helping, to complete this project listed here, right?
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
Not usually listed in the back, are they?
No,
full staff?
No, this is the first time that everybody is credited with Studio Gaga. So that's really nice. So these are some of the names that you may see in the future volume.
Not for the squeamish or the easily offended. I've never read that before.
It's true, though. All right, let's do our spoilery part. All right, spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers!
If you jumped right over here from the earlier part, then holy crap is this...
Griffith! It's Griffith! That's who I was talking about.
So there's a lot of mysteries that get resolved through here. So the whole political meeting at the beginning when Griffith is talking about where to spend money. I thought, man,
and Charlotte put in her 2 cents. Look at her.
Well, and then you feel like, is he using her? Of course he's using her. It's Griffin.
You can't trust him, but again, he's so awesome, and it's like you want to believe in him, just like at the beginning. It's
So, and then we move on to Guts and his friends, and so you have like this wonderful group of people of Farnese and Serpico and oh my gosh, Isidro and Shirky, I never know how to pronounce her name. Isma, the little mermaid.
The little...
Well, she is a mermaid. She's a mermaid. Isma.
No, she is. He's Isma.
Roderick and Ozma, I think they're still hanging out on the ship. But you have all these new characters that have joined, and you forgot how long this journey has been. And in the final volume, in volume 40, he gets Casca back. But it's a horrible revelation when she looks at Guts and starts screaming.
And wow, you feel really passionate about it.
I'm very passionate about this book.
Right, and nobody else knows Casca as we know Casca. I do want to say, poor Serpico, he gets like 2 panels. I mean, he's like hiding behind a tree, right? He doesn't get any character growth, but I mean, you can't.
He is a badass already. Can you make him even more badass? So
that was really cool with them seeing Casca, and I empathize with Farnese that she felt like she didn't do anything and that she was worthless. She didn't add to the team and such, and how much Casca was thanking her, and then after that she built confidence, right? Because she was doing magic for like the other mages, and they were like, "How are you doing that?" Oh my gosh.
Circle.
Yeah,
and they were like, "It took us years, and you're an adult."
Not human, adult, and you didn't even draw anything. She's like, "It took 3 months," and they were like, "What?" But that was really cool. Oh, I got goosebumps. And I'm sorry, your turn now. You geek out about somebody.
The Farnese was one of my favorite parts because, like you said, when she was
she came a long way.
From the sword. And
she came a long way.
That was her. It's just a character that felt like she added nothing to the group, and this happens in group of friends, right?
Not for the reader, like we could tell, but she herself.
Like in a group of friends, you have friends that think like they add nothing and they just sit in the corner or whatever. But I feel like that's what it is, because you see your friends as something else more than they see themselves, and that's how Casca sees her. Without Farnese, she wouldn't have made it here. And I thought that was such a beautiful moment.
I think Farnese is like, I was the one that put your heart back in because I said I promised you would see him. So she's trying to help her see Guts and
yeah, that was a beautiful scene. There's a couple of beautiful moments in here, like like you feel so bad for Guts because he did all this for Casca.
He seems to be taking it pretty well, though.
Well, you never know what he's thinking. He's that type of character. I mean, every once in a while you'll see him kind of teary-eyed, but in this, he's hiding behind a tree so he doesn't see her.
There's actually not a lot of Guts in this.
It's unfair, right? Because it's like he did all this for her, but all the people that didn't know her, because he's the only one that knew. Not even Puck, who's been with him for a long time.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Never met the real Casca. He's the only one that knows the real Casca, and it's so sad to see everybody else celebrating.
I felt like there was hope, though, because Casca tried again. She talked to him without looking, and then she broke down, and they were talking about like Farnese wanting to heal her mind, and the queen was like, "I'll help you with that." And Casca didn't seem like she was going to give up, like she was going to try again. So I felt hopeful, like it was just going to take time. And it was cool when Casca was like, "Well, let's see if I can fight," and she could. And I'm like, yes.
Oh, and she gets a new
and Isidra's like, "Teach me, big sis." She's like, "I'll always be a big sis."
Instead of the beautiful fairy dress or elf dress, she has an elf.
I think it looks prettier than
which
the dress.
Is so cool, because it's nice to see her as a warrior again. Because that's the thing that you feared, right? Casca hasn't been fighting. It's been years since she was a warrior. She used to be a badass, and I'm sure now she's gonna be this timid woman that's trying to get, that character arc again of like, I gotta get that 80s montage of training, but. This is manga, and it moves different than what you expect from Western comics.
And also, it's such a big story. You kind of have to...
And it kind of surprised me that she remembered everything. Because
what she said was vague and fuzzy.
But in Miura fashion, I was expecting another 5 volumes of Casca gaining her confidence back to become that warrior again.
Yeah, which would make sense.
But then we have this other big revelation that we kind of have guessed, and that is the mystery about the Skull Knight, who the Skull Knight was. So now it's, he gets called His Majesty. You know that he's a king. We even have a flashback of the original God Hand, maybe? Or the God Hand.
That was cool. I was like,
so you see Void.
Their character designs are awesome.
Yeah, you see Void with 4 other God Hands, so
I like them.
We don't know. You're led to believe that every, 276 years or whatever, you'll get a new member of the God Hand, and are there always 5? So all this mystery starts opening up about Void and the Skull Knight, how old he is. Even Guts is like, how old are you? But then you see through his perspective when Guts puts on the Berserker armor, and he gets to meet the guy that made the Berserker armor.
Oh, and Guts thought of the old armor blacksmith that made swords. Anyway, so yeah, Guts gets to see through the eyes of the memories of the Skull Knight. He went through an eclipse and held the love of his life in his arms. That looks like, what's her name? The Queen. Danon. And you're like, what? And then Danon comes and visits Skull Knight.
So now the little mini poster makes a lot more sense when you have Danon and the Skull Knight in his field.
And then that egg thing that's supposed to have her body inside, his love. And she's like, hey, what's up? And Skull Knight's like, I'm just angsty. I can't reflect on the past. And she's like, okay. Really, that's how the conversation goes. And Shirky's like, well, what about my mistress?
Flora? Yeah, Flora was the one that left the island. Yeah, that's her name. And
it was like, oh, she broke a taboo, and she was really close to the Skull Knight's love, and she broke a taboo and had to leave. And then, you know what interrupts, and you never find out?
Well, not yet.
Isidro's showing off fighting, which was really cute. And it shows he's finally got to the point where he can, stand on his own and do his own thing and beat them.
He's capturing little witches.
I was like, I want to find out, what did she do?
I've always said on my channel when doing overviews of Berserk, I feel like Puck and Isidro never belonged in the world of Berserk because they have this bad comedic timing that I know people love them, but for me it always got on my nerves. And then when they show up in the penultimate chapter, I'm like, no, I want to know more about the Skull Knight and his past. Damn it, leave it up to freaking Isidro and Puck to ruin a beautiful moment. But then we go back to that. But when we go back to that, we get back to the final chapter that he wrote, and of course drew and didn't finish drawing. I think he was missing a few pages that they went back. Studio Gaga, I think, the people that finished him, his group. So this is where the mystery of the Moonchild, I think is what we've been calling him. In reading Berserk, there's always a mystery of the kid, of
You mean the fetus? You mean
the baby?
Casca's baby?
Is it a demon baby? Is it Guts' baby? Is it Griffith's baby because of what he did to her? But it turns out it's kind of both. That this child comes out during the moon, when the moon is out. And it's so wonderful because it's a beautiful moment with Casca when and he, she says this feels natural, just holding this child. I remember, and even hanging out with Guts and wearing the armor.
That was adorable. And and Guts was so great with him. But anyway, and the Queen was like, well, he must be full of innocence because he got to the island.
Yeah, he must have swam to the island. He must have been on the boat on the island. Because he just showed up. And the whole time you're
he does.
And it's almost like, whew, it's not a demon. Finally something good. Guts and Casca have a child. And she's just, being herself, being a badass warrior, being a mother. And then Guts is, playing around with him like a father. And then, of course, the revelation comes at the very end in the last 3 pages.
You forget. I forgot. Because
you forget you're reading Berserk.
When he was in the window after having sex with Charlotte, and he was like, oh, that's it. Well, I guess it's time.
What did that mean? And then he goes back to this. That Griffith and the Moonchild, are one and the same. That he turns into this little kid, when it's a full moon. And at the very end.
That's what I thought. I thought it was both of them. It was Griffith reincarnate and Guts and Casca's child. And it was. So 2 mysteries answered. Skull Knight was that king from 500 years ago.
Which we all thought was.
And he went through an eclipse. And then their child is double-childed. And
still a demon? Right? If it's both of them and demon, because he's able to...
Griffith hasn't shown a single...
Flip-flop.
Flip-flop. Snip, snap.
Back and forth between Griffith and this kid. And what if
Griffith showed powers, but wait. The one time didn't he kind of get a little bit evil or angsty when the Skull Knight rode in, when it was the egg, and he was going to attack him?
Yeah.
But anyway, in general.
Obviously, he's got some kind of evil because he's got all these demons are really good. Nosferatu's Zod
I know.
With him. So then what does that mean for Femto? So then we haven't seen Femto.
Right.
Is he going to claim this child? And whose side is this child on? And is Guts going to just start striking this guy down because even though it's his son? Is it Griffith? Is he going to think okay, maybe Griffith is playing tricks on me?
No.
My gosh, way to leave you on a cliffhanger that reminds you that you are still in the world of Berserk. And also a satisfying ending because that's kind of what I thought Berserk was going to end. People got character
growth and kind of resolutions. But it can't just end on a happy note. No, right? The struggle must continue. But for the whole gang, you got some resolution. And now the next thing happens with his best friend Moira.
Oh, Koji Mori, that's continuing his Berserk. So those chapters have already been coming out in Young Animal magazine.
Right. And we haven't watched it. Or we haven't watched it. We haven't read it. And but he knows, right?
They're not collected in Tankobon. He knows what's going to happen. Yeah, so what he is doing, what his best friend is doing, apparently he based Griffith off of this character because he was more popular with the ladies in high school than Miura was.
And that Miura was a little jealous, right? Mm-hmm. Just saw that in his best friend and is I wish I could be like that. And yeah.
So he knows how it ends. And this is something that Miura talked to his team about. Just not hey guys, in case something happens to me, this is how I want you to deal with it. It's just in the world of manga, when you're working in a group, it's what do you guys think of this monster? What do you think of this story arc? What do you think this character is going to do? This is my idea for this character. But he did confide in his friend, this is how the story ends. And his friend and everybody at Young Animal has already stated that they will not do any filler. They're going to do exactly what Miura has only stated. Good. Which could be good and bad, because if you get the key points, right? If you just get the high notes, part of the beauty of Berserk is those low notes of, time for character growth. You're not going to get that in a journey that's if you're going from this to...
That's a good point, but maybe they will. I mean, that's not fillers. That's character growth.
It is, right? But there's still a lot of unanswered questions that I don't think...
They're not going to go bake a cake.
No, I'm not talking about Bleach.
For those of you who watch Bleach.
Bleach level of filler. I'm talking about the necessary things you need to go from point A to B. I worry that we're gonna go Game of Thrones final season. We're gonna get to that point, but it's gonna go so fast that you're not gonna appreciate it. You're not gonna appreciate the journey.
I get your point. Because I was saying I hope that it would be a good balance.
So I believe the Fantasia arc ends with the next chapters that have been that have already come out. They haven't made a tankobon of them, so there's no volume 42 yet. That's when it ends. But I mean, that's all I wanted to say about this.
In the comments, please don't spoil. Just for volume 42. Well, and for this volume 2, right?
Oh yeah, because I have to wait for physical release because I'm weird like that. So this was a beautiful book. This was a wonderful gift of somebody dedicating 30 plus years of his life to this story that brought so many people together. And it's weird because I don't ever on my channel try to call it dark fantasy, even though that's what it's labeled, because the story is too good and too beautiful to label it as a dark fantasy. So to me, this is the best damn manga ever created. It's one of the best works to ever have been printed. It's wonderful, it's beautiful, it's perfection, and it just got better and better. Even though people always complain. It's funny when the book when the series got popular enough, people would complain about the same arcs and then of course complain about the delays. But man, this journey has been amazing, and I can't thank Miura enough for everything in that final page of to all the fans.
To tear this out to all the fans and him.
And buy another copy is what she means.
And then, very, very end, Puck and Betsy. It's so cute.
So there is a note
I want a Betsy.
From the publishers in Japan when this came out, talking about the future of Berserk.
Animal Editorial Department, December 2021.
But it was written in December before they had decided to continue. So during this to all the fans note, they talk about the passing of Kentaro Miura, thanking the fans, and they did not know at the time what they were going to do with the future of Berserk. But now we know it's going to continue, and it has continued. And
it's really cool that they say, as we consider what to do moving forward, because this was in December, we feel a keen sense of just how outsized for us this story of Berserk that Mr. Miura spent over 30 years producing is, much like Guts' Sword in that respect.
Yeah. So, normally I rate things.
Are you coming over to my side? You rate without numbers? Don't rate it. The video speaks for itself, and probably my facial expressions will show you how passionate.
How do you rate perfection?
I am, and then how.
Great.
Yeah, your word choices show.
One of my
how you feel.
Favorite reads this year. One of the hardest reads I had is this whole.
I'm sorry, sweetie, that I wanted to read it first.
No, it's okay. It's okay. This whole journey has been amazing, and so many people have now been on the damn boat with us, waiting years for the next volume, and now we're all on the journey together, waiting for the next chapter of whatever Miura, wanted, and we'll see how that turns out.
A couple of years ago, a viewer told us about how, after Omar recommending this book, and he read it, how it helped him to deal with things that he saw as a paramedic. I really hope I'm getting the exact job title correct. Okay. But just with the horrible things he had to see, like reading the story really helped him with that. So, yeah. You know who you are if you're watching.
It's all about moving forward, right?
Because you helped a lot of people, and that's... I can't think of the word. Amazing.
So did Miura. He helped all of us get here. This episode is brought to you by cheapgraphicnovels.com, your online home for graphic novels and collected editions up to 50% off cover price. They have excellent shipping and prompt and helpful service. Check out their bargain deals for up to 90% off cover price. And don't forget, the CGN also takes pre-orders. That way you don't miss out on the hottest releases. And they are currently running a special promotion for you Minties. If you're a first-time customer, after receiving your order confirmation email, reply back to that email and let them know Near Mint Condition sent you their way. They will then apply a free shipping promotional credit to your next order in the US. Cheap Graphic Novels, your source for the hottest books with the kind of deep discount, quality shipping, and customer service that will keep you coming back for more. If you live in Europe and are interested in buying and pre-ordering Omnis, then you should definitely check out Walt's Comic Shop in Berlin, Germany. They have the cheapest pre-order prices for Marvel and DC books within the EU, flat rate shipping of €12 for all EU countries, bulletproof packaging, and all emails will be answered within 24 hours. They offer a huge selection of out-of-print books. Just head over to waltzcomicshop.com for more great deals and rare titles. And for a limited time, you can use the code NEARMINTCONDITION, all one word at the checkout, to get free shipping for all EU countries with your first order of over €40. Walt's Comic Shop, your reliable source for Omnis and premium collected editions in Europe. So that's it. Thank you all for watching. Thank you, Miura. Thank you to Dark Horse for sending us a copy and waiting on the next chapter of this wonderful story. And I will continue reading, even though at first I was like, I think that's where it ends with me when he left. But if his wishes were for people to continue the story, then
you got
damn sure I'm going to read it.
Here, give it a hug. Sleep with it tonight.
Stay healthy and safe out there.
Stay minty.
Much love.